Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to part 2 of the How to Make a Witch House track from scratch. Today I was going to show you how to make Hoovers. Let's see. It's going to be probably a shorter one today because we don't have a whole lot going in this department on this track. But I can still show you how to do it. So this was the loop that we came up with from the last time, so I'm going to let you listen to it with the piano roll. Alright, so that's the bass line. Basically, I was using Massive for the longest time to make Hoovers, but then I started using Silent, and I think the top end of the spectrum on Silent sounds a lot better. It sounds more harmonic. Massive, it sounds really messy to me. I don't know why. It could just be, my setup, but I doubt it. I think Silent is just better for this, so. Alright, what we're going to do is just load up. I have a Hoover preset that I'm going to show you how I made. I just call it like Hoover plain. This is going to be like a very basic Hoover. Most of what makes a cool Hoover for Witch House is going to be the effects that you add after it. That being said, you still have to have a good Hoover to start with. So let's go to plain. Alright. So basically it's just going to be two oscillators. It's going to be oscillator A and oscillator A2. They're both saw waves, and the way it's set up is there's a little bit of attack, no decay, so it's all the way down. Sustain is all the way up, and release is in between the second and third little line here. Alright, so that once you have that set up, you're going to go over here to the octave and note on the second one, and that's going to be +1. You're going to set voices to 8 all the way. The detune knob is going to be about 2 lines away from the 5, to the left of the 5 on both of them, and the volume is going to be all the way up. So once you have the +1 octave, the detune set to a little below 5, voices all the way to 8, and they're both set to saw waves, you're pretty much already there. Like, you've probably heard that exact Hoover somewhere else. Like, it's pretty common. And then I have it running to a filter. So these oscillator A's are going to oscillator A, which is going to filter A. And I believe I have the cutoff set. Yeah, I'm just carving out some of that super duper high end, because it gets a little annoying to mix around. I have this stuff set like default. If you wanted to, you could probably mess with this drive, beef it up a little bit. If you wanted to make it slide, you can just turn this mono legato mode on, and then I usually just put it a little bit halfway. And for this song, I did want that slide, so I'm going to leave that there. So that's how you make the basic Hoover patch. What you need to do now is have it routed to its own channel. So double-click the number next to the instrument and drag it way over out of the way, because what we're going to do is we're going to open up an instance of FPC later, which is the Fruity drum programming instrument. And you can have it each, have the kick routed to 1, 2, or snare to 2, 3, hi-hats to 3, crash to 4, etc., etc. And I want to make sure we have plenty of room for that. I don't want to have anything crowded on top of itself. Like I said in the last video, the organization is key for any kind of music production. So if you're watching this and you don't make Witch House, you could still learn a lot. So we have it routed to 15 now. Double check. You can bring the instrument rack back up, and see it's routed to channel 15. So there's a couple things you could do. I have Hoover presets for channel strips already made, which is what I'm about to pull up, and I'm just going to give you a step-by-step tutorial on how I did it. But what I would recommend doing is, say you have like a really basic Hoover sound that you use for a lot of your tracks, just route it to a channel, and instead of worrying about making a song for a couple days, like just sit down and like see what kind of cool Hoover sounds you can get. All right, so you get all the settings over here the way you'd like them. Then right click, file, save mixer state as, and then you can save it as whatever you like. See, like I have 2 Hoovers, I have like a chord preset, and I have like a burial type bass. I like the really low Reese sound. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna open up mixer track state, and yep, that's all loaded up. So one of the good things about being able to save your channel strips like that is, obviously just being able to work very quickly. You don't have to like spend a bunch of time redialing in presets, even remembering presets. Like there's some, like I just got FL20. That's why I don't have many of these. I used to have a lot more in FL12. But one of the good things about it is I could just set things and forget them. Like I wouldn't really have to like precisely how to EQ things. So all right, let's turn all of these off. And another good habit I would recommend getting into, let's change the color on this. Like at the base, it's already automatically going to name it, but let's get something more colorful in here. Cool. Right on. So we got a blue baseline channel. All right. So the first EQ all right. So this is that's just without any effects, and then I'm going to go through one by one and turn these EQs on, and then Maximus so you can hear the difference of everything. So yeah, did I leave that drive on? Yeah, I did. Turn that off. All right. Yeah, that was legit. I was wondering why the volume was jumping. It's because I left the drive on. But all right. So so this is the first EQ. Basically, I have a boost going at 156. Get some of that, like when you listen to music on like headphones, or not headphones, like iPod speakers or iPhone or any kind of phone speaker, really, you're not going to get anything super low down here, so you need to boost in like the upper bass range to give it some body, and so it'll be able to be recreated on smaller speakers. So I just have a little boost at 145 and 156. It's around 5 a piece. I kind of just wanted to get this, a bulb type figure going, so I got some of that nicer low end, and I have some of the sub bass boosted as well. So it's a 6 dB on that. So it's 6 dB for the low end, which I start at 76 hertz, and then around 145 I gave it about a 5.5 dB boost at 145. And then up here, this is the important part. This is where you're going to get a lot of the bite. It's going to be the same range as like most electric guitars when you want, them to really cut through the mix. It's going to be around 1 to 2K. On this particular EQ, I have it set at 2,166 hertz. And I think, this is just a 3 dB boost. And then I have a little bit of the top end, so 6K and up at 2 dB. Boost. That's going to brighten things up a bit. That's before. That's after. So it's starting to sound more like a WaveCioux Hoover. So the next one, I boost things a little bit more, and I start you know, this is the most important EQ out of the steps. So all right. Cool. All right. So what I did here was I took the entire volume and I dipped it down by 6 dB because I knew I'd be boosting this upper high end a lot. So this, I have it boosted at 2785, it looks like. Yeah, 2785 hertz. And I have that boosted by, this one's boosted by quite a bit. It's boosted by 10 dB, but you got to remember, I also knocked down the overall volume by 6 dB. So it's 10 dB up on the 2785. And then this is going to be around 269. And then going to boost this by 7 dB, it looks like. Yeah. And I think that's going to be about it. It looks like I have the subwoofer boosted a little bit too. Yeah, about another 5 dB on the subwoofer. And then at this point I was pretty happy with the way the Hoover itself sounded, but I thought it was still a little, it could be cleaned up a little bit more in the low end to make things sound more, you know, linear. So I just ducked some of this 299 out. I think this is probably just a dB or two. Yeah, this is 2 dB. And I think that actually helps it quite a bit. It gets rid of that, a little bit of that low end warbly sound. Alright, this is where a lot of producers, this next step, this multi-band compression, this is where they mess up. Alright, so this is going to be very helpful because, like, say you have like this really, like a Hoover is a good example of this. It's an instrument that takes up the entire frequency spectrum and it's very loud. So it's going to be very hard to mix around. So what you need to do is solo each of these. And what you want to do is set the threshold to a good point to where it's not chopping it off and muffling it, but you know, you're cleaning up that top end so it's a steady volume. Like you can see before is going to be the purple. And then white is after it's been compressed. And you see how it's nice and level now? That's what you want. Especially in like the low sub region. It'll make the bass sound tighter and it'll punch through the mix more. And it'll give you more room for a kick room as well, or a kick drum. This one, mid-range, you kind of want some movement, so I didn't completely level it. It's still got a little bit of wiggle room. And the high end, I wanted that crispy sound, so I let some stuff through, but I turned the release up as well. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to knock this one back up. Yep. And the cool thing about this Maximus plugin too is you can balance the instrument by band. So if you wanted more high end, you just come here and turn the post or pre up. Pre is going to be the volume going into the compressor, and the post is going to be the compressed signal's volume. So after it's been compressed, if you want to turn the compressed signal up, you would go to post. But if you wanted to be more compressed, you would turn up the pre-gain. Okay. So solo, I turned the attack all the way down, and I started messing with the release. And what I listened for with the release is going to be, I'm trying to make that low end really tight. And I have a hardware compressor, and it's much easier to hear it on. But what you listen for is the bass to sound cohesive. So it's just like, it sounds like a plain sine wave. Like, you know how when you get a sine wave just right in the mix, it kind of just like kicks you in the chest? That's what you're looking for with this. So I just messed with the release until I got a point where I could hear it. You can shut this off, which is what I usually do. You can turn these things off because it can be very distracting and you'll start mixing with your eyes instead of your ears. Like, you can turn all that off. but so I have it set at around 120 milliseconds for the release. Don't copy these. This is just for this particular instrument. If you're making this exact same instrument, then you could copy this, but if you have a different Hoover, it's going to be different settings. What you need to be doing is listening for making this low end tighter, and the way you make instruments tighter with a compressor is fast attack times, slow release times. Alright, midsection. Midsection, I have a little bit of the attack coming through, so it kind of pops out of the speakers. It'll kind of counterbalance the low end squishing that we just did. The release time I still have set, at a good decent amount, but there's more information in the mid range. Like there's a wider frequency spectrum that it's picking from, as you can see here. So when you do a mess with the attack and release time, it's not going to let the same amount of stuff through, if that makes sense. High end, I have a pretty slow attack time and a pretty long release time. It's going for the same effect as the low end is, where I don't want to completely squish it like I did in the low end, but you just want to make things sound one volume without completely flattening it. You can flatten the low end pretty much, because you really want to push the low end. Like you can see I have the volume boosted a little bit as well to give it some more make it sound tougher. And I don't think I did that on any of these other ones. Yeah, I didn't do that on the high end. I did. High end I boosted a little bit. So these are going to be all of the settings for this. The master. You can even take this one step further. The cool thing about Maximus is it also has like a stereo separation tool. So if you wanted to make sure that this bass, like you can see the bands. So the bass is on this is gonna be anything from looks like a 180-ish, 180 hertz down to 0. You're probably gonna want to close that in a little bit. So let's make this a little bit more mono. That's gonna free up some low end for other instruments. Mid, you can widen it a little bit, and then the high end, widen it. I never widen this stuff too much, because at the end, when you go to master stuff, you're gonna widen it even more. If you want to, you don't have to. I usually don't, but if you have this already widened, then you widen it even more. It's gonna sound really bad on other speakers. I think that's gonna be pretty much it. So we can listen to this with the piano part. It's probably gonna sound a little weird because we haven't done the other instrument yet. Cool. Alright, I think that's going to be about it for today. Alright, guys, thanks for watching. As always, follow us on social media. We have an Instagram, SoundCloud, Bandcamp. I'll drop the links to everything in the description below. If you hit that subscribe button, it helps out a lot. And thumbs up the video. If you have any questions, comment down below, and I'll get to them and possibly talk about them in the next video. Alright, thank you. Bye.